LGV20. This is the Big Ten on ESPN. Chrysler Center is the site, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Couple of teams at 5-1 getting together for the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and it is on the line tonight. The ACC and the Big Ten each with 4 wins so far. Got to get to 8 to win. The Big Ten has had quite the run in this series. And Sean, 2 teams very willing for the outside tonight.
Well, the strength of both of these rosters come from their perimeter shooting, and for Virginia Tech, just saw them at the Wooden Legacy over the last week. Excellent job floor spacing and finding the corner 3 in particular, but averaged more than 9 3-pointers made per game. Michigan sets a lot of screens, a lot of action to draw your attention. Some good scores from the outside. 37% of their points on the season from beyond the arc. Their overall 3-point field goal percentage, though, would be better outside of the one hiccup that they've had so far, and that was at South Carolina, and they did not shoot the ball well at all.
They bounced back from that with a win on Saturday against Mount St. Mary's here, part of a 4-game homestand. That went 64-47. Meantime, Virginia Tech finished in 3rd place at that Wooden Legacy with a win against Nebraska on Sunday. 6th meeting all time, Virginia Tech and Michigan. And off we go from Ann Arbor. Derek Walton Jr. has it first for the Wolverines at 5-1.
Virginia Tech will play this zone. They are very active in it. They're going to overhelp, try to push through the screens, which means they're going to just pass guys along. That means your communication has to be very crisp.
Into the corner it goes. Zach Irvin knocks down the jumper, and there's an early 3 for Michigan.
A little dribble handoff action. Irvin got to the corner and nobody was there.
John Beilein told us before the game, he said, if Zach Irvin comes out shooting well, that's one of the signals I'm looking for today in this game. Irvin got a hand on that pass, and we see Virginia Tech for the first time with Justin Bibbs, the junior out of Dayton, Ohio. And that is turnover number 1 on an average of 10.5 for Virginia Tech.
It was around 9 until they played Nebraska. They had a ton of turnovers in that game, uncharacteristic. They were one of the best in the country as far as valuing the basketball. John Beilein's team knows that they're not going to be able to get a lot of points off of turnovers because of Virginia Tech, and assuming that they're going to clean up with the mistakes that they had in that 3rd place game.
And that goes both ways, too. Last 4 years, Michigan's been top 10 in the country in turnovers by its offense. Irvin has 5.
Well, Coach Beilein, as you mentioned, wanted to see him get off to a good start. He's done that, so check that box. Now you want to see Derek Walton get going.
Walton, the senior guard. This is Hill, the sophomore. Robinson tees up a 3, and Justin Robinson has his 9th make from beyond the arc.
He had a sensational Wooden Legacy right up until that last game, and then struggled a little bit as far as finding his shot, but he's been the most consistent out of the Hokies over the last week.
Well, you said it as we got started. The 3-point shot is going to be very important in this game tonight. DJ Wilson off the bounce, exploding to the rim.
You've got to move your feet better defensively, though. Standing 2 straight up, gave an easy straight line drive.
Wilson got his first career start against Marquette, about 6.5 points a game. The junior out of Sacramento. Robinson off the dribble, pull up, foul line, rimmed out. Walton in transition for Michigan. Too strong. And a foul called against Virginia Tech on the rebounding action.
Yeah, big concern for Virginia Tech is team rebounding. A team that doesn't have a lot of great size, but for Buzz Williams' group, they know they have to rebound the basketball. That's what hurt them in the game against Texas A&M, in particular in the final 10 minutes. But Buzz Williams has done an excellent job recruiting players that fit his identity, have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, play hard, play together.
Well, you heard his coaching staff during shoot-around today say, we are never going to get out-rebounded by 19 again. And that was the margin in the A&M game, 49-30.
You also have to remember the long shots lead to long rebounds, and that's what happened on that last possession. Then a little push in the back gave another opportunity for Michigan.
And this foul against Michigan on the rebounding action, so one apiece as Michigan leads early. Foul is on DJ Wilson, his first.
Yeah, started the last 4 games, replacing Duncan Robinson. Had a double-double against Marquette. 7'3" wingspan, played with good activity, especially at this end of the floor. This is where he's valued by Michigan defensively.
He's one of those guys getting used to big games for Michigan. He hasn't exactly seen the light of day like an Irvin has in his career, as Zach Leday has checked in for Virginia Tech wearing number 32, one of the key cogs off the bench. That one nearly got away from Robinson, and a wild shot leads to a run out. 5-on-4. Cross court, Irvin. Jumper, no good. And the rebound of the Hokies. Justin Bibbs. Hill willing to attack, and it's an offensive foul against Ahmed Hill.
I don't like that call. I think in the open floor, in transition, I don't think he excessively lowered his shoulder into his man. Instead, I think he was just being aggressive. I mean, this is a basketball drive. No position was put into place. I didn't see the forearm get extended.
There was no extension. It was a bump at most.
I think, if anything, that's going to be a defensive foul. If you wanted to make it a no call, I wouldn't have had any problem with that either.
So 2 against Hill, who had 12 after halftime in the win against Nebraska. So we'll see where Virginia Tech goes offensively as Duncan Robinson is checked in for Michigan. Wagner off the spin. Mo Wagner for his first bucket.
Now, Michigan has some size that it can use against Virginia Tech, in particular against Clark.
Your feeling is that maybe the most assertive team down low wins this game?
Well, that's what we were talking about earlier. Is today was the three-point shooting is the strength of both teams. Whichever team is able to be more successful in the paint, that's rebounding the basketball and finishing in that area, I think is going to win the game, because I think it'll probably be a push on the outside.
Leday draws the foul. Free throws for him coming back. JimmyV.org or 1-800-4JimmyV. 100% of all direct cash donations awarded to cancer research.
That's the thing that when you start thinking about cancer research and the money that's being donated, just how much advancements are being made. I mean, just these doctors that are really doing amazing things right now to try to find the breakthrough, to try to finally start winning this battle. And just as Jimmy V said, don't ever give up. We can't ever give up in trying to look and find that answer, because if you haven't been affected by cancer in your family or your friends, you're going to.
You're the outlier right now, yeah. There are scientists dedicating their lives to it as Virginia Tech will take over, trailing by 5 early on first half. ACC Big Ten Challenge, Ohio State, Virginia on the way next. The big one, Indiana, North Carolina as well tonight. Loads of good games in this challenge this year.
Well, this start to the college basketball season, we've seen nothing but great basketball games seemingly night in and night out. Remember, it started with the Armed Forces Classic over in Hawaii. Tip-off marathon leading to the Champions Classic, and Feast Week offered us numerous opportunities to see high-level basketball.
Nice save by Seth Allen there to get it back into the front court before it went back behind midcourt. Leday fading away, and the rebound for Irvin.
I like the move. I just didn't like his plant and explosion up. I thought he drifted a little bit too much, which is what caused the miss.
Where does that come from for him physically?
He's more than capable of being strong and exploding to the rim, and I think he was a big part of their second half success against Nebraska with a pair of dunks, where he ripped through the lane and then went to the rim. And I think he needs to play with that kind of level of energy right now, because the Hokies are a little flat. They're not bouncing and moving like I saw them move last week down in Anaheim.
Well, he was the guy to spearhead that energy charge out in California.
I told him I liked his dance moves, and it wasn't because the moves were that great. It's just because I saw the way his teammates responded to it.
Into the corner, open look for Duncan Robinson, and that's a bad idea for Virginia Tech.
Ball movement, very crisp. Defensive closeout, a little slow. Combination equals a good three-point shot for Michigan.
Robinson, 9th best in the country last year in three-point percentage, as Virginia Tech can't respond. And nice block out for Mark Donnell. Abdur Rahman off the spin for two. Nifty move for the junior from Allentown, and timeout Buzz Williams. Michigan leads by 10 at home.
A little aggressiveness, getting inside the paint, spinning off the defensive player, finding the two inside. But it's really been in the first half about the ball movement, finding open perimeter jump shots. A nice job passing and sharing the ball by the Michigan Wolverines. And the quality of shot that I've seen so far for them has been the major difference in this 10-point lead.
And that's been essentially the charge for John Beilein when he has been everywhere he's been in major college basketball. West Virginia, Michigan find the open man, spread the floor, and they've done a very nice job of it so far tonight.
Well, and for Virginia Tech, it comes down to the energy. Who's going to be the spark right now for the Hokies? Things aren't going well at the offensive end. It can start picking up by a commitment to the defensive end.
Leday lost it out of bounds, and another turnover for Virginia Tech, which hasn't scored since 18-17 in this half.
See, so often we allow, as players, you allow the offense to dictate how you perform at the defensive end of the floor. You think if you get your offensive end going, that it'll feed over to this end. Play with energy here. String together 3 or 4 stops if you're Virginia Tech, and I promise you your offense will start flowing.
Who was the best you ever saw at turning defense into offense? As Abdur Rahman drills a three.
There were a lot of guys. When I played in college, my teammates, I thought Earl Watson was as good as anybody, now the head coach of the Phoenix Suns. I thought he was just one of those guys that would just get in you defensively, disrupt you, not allow you to feel like you're comfortable at all, and then would be the head of our dragon defensively. So often the point guards are the ones that have to initiate that on-ball defense.
Seven minutes in, Virginia Tech getting blasted by Michigan as Allen will lead the offense. Four in a row for Michigan. Bad sign for the Hokies. Hill off the dribble, got caught. That's a nice spin move. 4-2 for Hadim C, the freshman out of Dakar, Senegal.
Yeah, posted up, felt where the defensive player was, spun off of him and got an easy 2.
Out of Oak Hill Academy, had the game-winning tip-in in the national championship game. His final season there. Robinson lifted out, and the rebound for a guard for Virginia Tech, Seth Allen. That's a good sign for Buzz Williams. He wanted more from his guards on the glass.
Well, I like that, but I also love the fact that it was a contested shot. A good hand in the face. Those are the looks that you want to see.
Hill in the paint for 2 more. That's 4 in a row quickly for the Hokies.
Ahmed Hill is another energy guy, and when he starts smiling and bouncing around, you know good things are going to happen. He struggled with his perimeter shot in that third-place game against Nebraska. I like the fact that he was aggressive trying to get a piece of the paint.
Anyone who wears a Homer Simpson shirt in shoot-around is going to be a pretty fun guy, as that 3 goes in for Irvin. His second of the first half. He has 8. Travel called in the post against C.
Well, Michigan on a run in this game, sharing the basketball, and as Coach Beilein said, if Zach Irvin is on his game, good things happen for the Wolverines. So far, the answer is in the game. This week alone, you have Indiana going against North Carolina. We've got UCLA at Kentucky on Saturday. That's great for the sport to see the big names going against each other in November and early December.
Michigan State Duke, certainly. Michigan here leading by 12. And Robinson walled off. Found an open man. Walton cans the three, and Michigan's 5 out of 7 from beyond the arc.
That's good, by the way. I'm not a math guy, but I know that's really good. And the big part about this for me is Michigan right now and the quality of the three-point shot that they're getting. Their ball movement is much faster than the man movement of the Hokies defense.
Well, leave the math to your Dean's List son as the foul goes against Michigan.
How about that? My son, a middle schooler, it's his birthday today. He turned 12 and he got awarded the Dean's List at his middle school.
Best day of his life.
Yeah, and I'm not there. That's what made it so great. He's like, Dad's not here. This is wonderful. He's got a better resume than I do now.
You'll get there. Don't worry. You can still build that career. Under 11 to go first half. Virginia Tech needs a bucket in the worst way. Ahmed Hill into the post for C. Off the spin, got 2 more. He's used his body well against Donnell.
A couple of good back to the basket moves, and when your perimeter shot isn't falling like Virginia Tech is right now, you've got to look to try to either create off the bounce and get a piece of the paint or dump it down. C has been the best so far.
Robinson knew it was short, followed his shot and couldn't get there.
But again, good job rebounding from the guards, getting below the level of the free throw line, which has been a point of emphasis for Buzz Williams.
Allen slicing through, missed the shot. See how Michigan handles a possible break. They'll slow it down. Michigan 5-1, only lost to South Carolina, which put down the clamps defensively. A very strong Gamecocks team. Walton passed it up. Irvin did not and rimmed it out.
One of the things Michigan has always done well under John Beilein is get back in transition defense. Upon shot going up, guys fill their defensive responsibilities.
Hill buries the three, and Virginia Tech now trailing by 10. A team that in its only loss this year was up 17 on Texas A&M.
It was a game I really thought that was going to go to 20. And then in a blink of an eye, largely because of Robert Williams, a very talented freshman for Texas A&M, that lead evaporated quickly, and Virginia Tech walked off that floor stunned.
Zach Irvin is having quite the first half. He's in double figures already as Xavier Simpson's called for that foul, the freshman from Ohio. Thursday night, it's a rock fight in Ames. Cincinnati and number 19, Iowa State, both teams 5-1. You know, Steve Fromm's going to try and spread it out, but Mick Cronin would like to drag you into one of those street fights. 9 Eastern on ESPN, also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Cyclones just lost to Gonzaga on Sunday, their only loss.
They fought back. They were down 18 in that game, though, and I think Gonzaga is a Final Four basketball team this year. They've got a pair of freshmen in Zach Collins and Tilly that are 7 feet tall, can shoot the three, set good screens, have a little bit different playing style, but come off the bench and are really important to balance out and have quality depth for the Gonzaga Bulldogs this year.
What do you need from Virginia Tech defensively the rest of this first half to hang around?
Can we start at the offensive end? I would suggest not throwing the ball to John Beilein, who is not checked in the game. That would be a great place to start.
What a strategy.
Too many turnovers. Their turnovers are leading to points, okay? And it demoralizes you a little bit. Every time you turn the ball over and you have an empty possession, your energy level dips just ever so slightly. And right now what we're seeing is a very flat-footed, slow-rotating defense out of Virginia Tech. And that's why Michigan has continued to out-execute them here in the first half.
7-4 Abdur Rahman as Clark provides the energy and scores. He's that type of guy that can really infuse some energy into a team.
Clark, Leday, and Hill are the energy guys. Robinson is just rock solid. I mean, he's a steady machine that just keeps going. Seth Allen can feed off of those other guys' energy. They need to get a lot more of that because now, okay, you give up the three, so what happens defensively? This is where Michigan really starts to out-execute you. They spread you out because you're running to the three-point line. Now they turn down the three-point shot, and they start scoring around the basket.
And there's the skill from Wagner, the sophomore out of Berlin, off the bounce that time. He has 4. And just a foul called on Clark.
Trying to do too much. The Hokies have to settle down as they're trying to force the issue rather than allow it to come through organically. They got to compete better at the defensive end of the floor. They're down 14.
We certainly are. Thanks, guys. Look forward to you at halftime as Michigan leads by 14 against Virginia Tech with 6 Hokie turnovers, 12 points off those turnovers for the Wolverines.
And again, worth mentioning, prior to their last game against Nebraska, they were averaging under 10 turnovers per contest.
Abdur-Rahman the find. The three wouldn't go down for Ibi Watson, and a foul against Virginia Tech in the rebounding action.
Yeah, right now, Michigan is just coming out with a very focused effort. And for Virginia Tech, look, they're trying to win back-to-back games against Big Ten opponents. And you're trying to get a win on the road. And a win on the road is difficult. I don't care where you are. I don't care if it's Pitt, Maryland, which Seth and Jay Will were talking about for an hour and a half last night. I was in the hotel room drinking water and having some M&Ms that you got out of the concierge level. It was really good.
$12.
Yeah, and they were talking about Pitt, Maryland, and the quality of the win that is, and how many guys they lost, and the percentage of 65% of the score, and all that stuff. But look, if you went on the road and you're Virginia Tech and you beat 2 Big Ten opponents back to back, those are wins that matter in March. It just does.
You can't overvalue a game like this, though, in the non-conference, can you?
One game doesn't make or break your season, whether it's a win or whether it's a loss. You know, I mean, but certainly they can help. And as your resume gets put together, I think that's the big talking point for a lot of coaches. You look at November. November, as we close it out, to me is an exposure month for college basketball. You get exposed, your strengths and your weaknesses. December, everything kind of settles down. Games are a little bit more spaced out. You get back to practicing, and that's where you can fix everything to get geared up for January, the start of conference play.
Foul on the rebound against Michigan. If you're a team like Michigan, this game against Virginia Tech, it sits in the middle of a homestand. You got a game against Texas as well. How much can you actually install for the specific opponent in this case? And same goes for Virginia Tech.
I think right now it's so much about the team itself. I don't think it's about the opponent. I think it's about these guys continuing to try to find out, Buzz Williams and John Beilein, finding out who they are. What is their identity? If you start over-adjusting, and I think that's where you get into trouble. If you start deviating from your system because you're trying to win just one particular game, I think that's where you end up having more question marks come January than you should. Now, you look at this upcoming schedule, you mentioned it for Michigan. Yeah, they got Texas next Tuesday. Then they're at UCLA a week from Saturday. And those are good back-to-back games. Now, Texas is struggling. Their guard play is suspect. But UCLA, they don't have any issues at guard. Lonzo Ball, one of the elite players in the country. And if you haven't watched him, make sure you tune into a UCLA game soon, because he's a triple-double waiting to happen.
He's one of those guys that you turn on the TV simply to watch. Even if it's a 30-point game, you're going to want to watch him play.
It's appointment television. And we've got a couple of those in college basketball this year. Here's a big-time play.
Ledet, the takeaway. He fumbled with it, got fouled, and couldn't score.
Well, it was going to be a big-time play until he dropped it. But defensively, better activity that time for the Hokies. You play the passing angle, you extend out, you create the tip with active hands. Thought it was going to be a dunk, but Ledet just lost his footing and then tried to corral it. Now he'll have to earn it at the free throw line.
Redshirt senior out of Dallas, Zach Ledet, who played 63 games in 2 years at USF, then transferred over here to Virginia Tech. Honorable mention All-ACC last year, and a young man who can certainly push this team. You even see it in his eyes, the look in his eyes at the free throw line. He wants the win as badly as anybody on this team, and will show it with his teammates. Not afraid to do so.
Well, sluggish start in the first half against Nebraska, 3 for 11. Kind of a similar start for him so far in this one. But then in the second half, he really got going. Went 4 of 7, finished that game with 19 points, 9 rebounds. And I really think that that's kind of what he's got to do here. He's got to assert himself, but he can't wait till halftime to do it, down 10 with 5 minutes left to go.
4 assists, 3 blocks in that game. There's Ledet pinning it to the backboard, but they couldn't hang on. Michigan retains possession.
But Buzz Williams loves it because it's aggressiveness and it's them being physical, trying to assert themselves at the defensive end of the floor. Good anticipation skill. You get beat, but you have the athleticism and the wherewithal to send it off the backboard.
He's not a starter, but he's second on the team in minutes per game at nearly 30, and he was almost immediately off the bench today. On the drive, Irvin building on 10. He's got 12.
That was a blow by. I mean, Lede, who does such a nice job blocking the shot, then goes out to close out to the ball, and it was a simple rip through and go. Not only did you get by Lede, but the help side was nowhere to be found.
Allen step back, knocks it down. Seth Allen for 2.
Starting to see some better stuff out of Virginia Tech. I mean, they're executing a little bit better at the offensive end. The quality of their shots starting to improve. Michigan's fine. They just need to stay in this zone.
Teske the screen. Walton uses it. Teske was open for a minute, the freshman center. 5 to shoot. Walton had it pried away. And a run out knocked aside by Abdur Rahman.
I think if you're Bibbs that time, understanding you're down 10, you have an opportunity, unless it's a sure thing, and that clearly was not, value the ball, value the possession.
Especially down 10, you're mounting a comeback, couple of strong offensive possessions, and now Michigan gets the hammer back. Walton catch and shoot. Yes, sir.
And that's why you have to value the ball, because when Michigan's in this rhythm and flow, your defense looks a step slow, and they're able to exploit it.
Tremendous three-point shooting first half. 6 out of 12 for Michigan. Abdur Rahman creates the turnover. Walton gives it back to him. He had it blocked away. And Irvin comes out of the fray with it. Robinson, it's an offensive foul against Michigan. Zach Irvin has owned the first half for Michigan.
Yeah, he got it started from beyond. No resistance inside by the Hokies.
How much do you make of Zach Irvin being able to have a full preseason now? He had the back injury last year. He was available, healthy, ready to go for this season.
I think it's huge. I think when you see players and they come off of injury and they're trying to build themselves back into any kind of momentum, you miss the early portion. The early portion of the season is where so much of the coaching gets put in. Those practices in October, timing, chemistry, understanding of where the ball is going to be coming when it's passed to you, where you like to receive the ball from your point guard. All those things are developed so often in the early stages before games actually start. So if you miss that period, all of a sudden you're a little bit behind.
Right on his average so far this year with 12 tonight for Irvin, and a travel called against Donnell in the post.
He'll top that tonight. He'll top his average.
You're feeling that?
I'm going out on a limb.
Careful with your footing out there.
It's been a lot of fun, though. These games and the ACC Big Ten Challenge every single year become appointment television. You have great games, great rivalries. You see some stars emerge. You see some teams kind of get on the right track during this challenge as well.
We have a clock issue, so the officials are going to look at the monitor. And talking to John Beeline about this ACC Big Ten Challenge, he simply likes it broadly because you're guaranteed a good game. You're going to have somebody on your schedule from a power conference when scheduling is so difficult, especially for a Michigan team, which doesn't necessarily sync up exam-wise with the rest of the country.
Well, it gives you a nice home and home, and like he said, and it was said last night, I think Jay Billis said it as well during the Duke game, which was you can't just sit there and go, okay, well, this conference won the challenge, so therefore they're the better conference. You know, a lot of times it comes down to matchups, and they try to match it up and make good, you know, competitive games. But sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out that way year to year, especially with the transfers and influx of young talent into the college game. But it's always fun to watch, that's for sure.
So say you had two conferences you could match up who aren't currently matched up in one of these. What would you pick? What two conferences would you put together? The clock was stopped as of the 3:14 mark, so they're still determining how much time is remaining. Looks like 2:44 would be the answer.
Well, I think these two conferences historically have been great partners in this challenge. I think this year You take the top teams of the ACC and put them against the top teams of the Big East. That would be a lot of fun. The Big East is off to a great start this college.
He shot very well from three-point run. Seth Allen with his second bucket. He shot very well from three-point range this year. 7 out of 15 coming into tonight. The senior from Northern Virginia.
He transferred in from Maryland, has played in the ACC his entire career.
Got a foul there as Bibbs was advancing up the court, and he will draw a 1-and-1.
Well, for Seth Allen, averaging about 11 points per game, 47% from beyond the arc. As you mentioned, shot selection has been really key for Seth Allen, and shot 50% from the field in 3 games at the Wood and Legacy. That match is just a little bit actually below his season field goal percentage, but he's done a nice job working in with his Hokies unit.
Now into the double bonus, he will get a second shot. Tonight, 9:15 Eastern on ESPN, another blockbuster in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Number 3, North Carolina. Number 13, Indiana. 101-86, the Sweet 16 last year for the Tar Heels. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app. And watch ESPN, a Sonic blockbuster game that we are all looking forward to.
They're balanced scoring. 5 players for the Tar Heels averaging in double figures as a team, averaging about 93 points per game. Indiana likes to push it. Indiana likes to score the basketball. So if you like offense, I think that's a game that you're really going to enjoy a little bit later on.
It's an offensive foul against Allen off the early shot from Donnell. What matchup are you most looking forward to in that game?
Well, I think Thomas Bryant matching up against the interior length of North Carolina. When you look at Hicks and Meeks, they combine to average just a little bit over 28 points per game. But Thomas Bryant has got to be the enforcer underneath and match them step for step, in particular rebounding the basketball, trying to limit North Carolina with second chance points opportunities and shoring up their defensive glass for the Hoosiers.
Walton the wraparound, and another shot goes in for Zach Urban on a great find from his point guard. Foul and 1 for C down low. Kadeem C has had a very nice first half.
He has been the most aggressive Hokie, in particular in the paint. They posted him up twice, and that time an offensive rebound and a putback, because he's in the right place at the right time. And when we say right place, right time, a lot of times we discredit, we do a disservice to the offensive player, because he played the percentages, got to the weak side of the glass, got his hands on it, and out-muscled and out-physicaled the Wolverines to get that rebound.
A young man who's not been in the States for terribly long, just a couple of years, over from Dakar, Senegal, went to play at Powerhouse Oak Hill Academy, and playing about 14 minutes a game this year for Virginia Tech. Robinson, step back on Clark for 2.
And Duncan Robinson coming off the bench. He started the first 4 games of the season, made the transition to the bench, and a good step back there.
It's the opposite for him last year. Started the last 27 after coming off the bench the first 9. Clark aggressive, missed it strong, and Irvin the rebound for the Wolverines.
You mentioned it, starting minutes for a guy like Leday, and the minutes for Robinson are going to be every bit as much as a starter would get. And I think so often players get concerned. Am I a starter? Don't be concerned if you're a starter. Be concerned if you're playing. Like, what are your minutes?
Well, but the lights go out and they put your name on the video board and all that.
Yeah, well, I'd rather be in the game late when it matters than at the start of the game when the score is 0-0 and there's still 40 minutes to determine who's going to win the game. And I think both these players, Leday and Robinson in particular, have done a nice job making sure that when they come off the bench, they provide something that's different to their team. I think when you look at a team like UCLA, I think Aaron Holiday is one of those guys, because UCLA's got 5 really good starters. Holiday started his entire career. Now he's coming off the bench. Don't worry about that. Just go play.
Wolverines leading by 11 here, and UCLA is on that schedule. Coming up December 10th, the Wolverines will be on the road after a 4-game homestand, which includes Texas. But that game at UCLA certainly will be a dandy.
Well, and Michigan, although they took the loss to South Carolina, fell out of the top 25. I think you go back to how they were playing in New York, they look every bit as good as a top 25 team when they were in New York.
Never trailed against SMU, beat Marquette in that tournament as well. Irvin was the MVP. He drops it off. Wagner, long jumper off the mark, and Virginia Tech can have the final possession of the first half.
And could make it under 10, which I think is really key for the Hokies. They had it there just a couple of minutes ago.
Robinson the drive, and he scores. Justin Robinson with 7 in the first half, and Virginia Tech within 9 at halftime, but Zach Irvin has been the guy for the Wolverines.
He's been sensational, but a job not settling for the three-point shot. I said off the top you were going to have to be aggressive in getting into the paint, and that's what Michigan was able to do. They were able to get inside early, and when they got it inside early, they got the defense spinning. There was no help side rotation. The three-point shot started falling from the outside. Zach Irvin, though, was outstanding the entire first half. 6 of 8, 15 points from the field. And as John Beilein told us when we spoke with him before the game, if he's playing well, we're playing well. He's playing well.
15 points, 7 out of 8 games now. 6 out of 7 games, I should say, for Irvin. He's been in double figures so far this season, but Virginia Tech did outscore Michigan 9-5 to close that first half to draw within 9. Hokie basketball to open half number 2.
Well, they're going to try to carry that momentum over here to the second half.
Short run built into the second half. Clark for 2. He's got 4.
Well, after not getting anything inside and really settling from the outside, they had too many turnovers, but they were settling from the outside. They ended up closing the first half 6 of 8 inside. And I think if I'm Buzz Williams, I'm telling my team, look, where are they hurting us? They're hurting us in the paint. Where can we hurt them? In the paint.
DJ Wilson gets into the paint and leaves it short. Quiet first half for Wilson, just a pair of points for Michigan. Robinson the kick, corner 3, won't fall for Hill, and Wilson had it taken away. That was an open look for Robinson. He couldn't knock it down. Would have been a big shot for the Hokies early in this second half.
2 really clean looks for Virginia Tech, and what I like about Virginia Tech, active hands, in particular by Clark, who just picked up that foul.
Second on Clark in the game.
But at the defensive end, he swiped it away, which was a gained possession by Michigan and then lost with the quick hands. In the second half, also look for Virginia Tech to find a way to get Zach Leday, who's not out on the floor right now, involved in the offense. He had only 1 field goal attempt in the first half.
Here's a guy who's had 10 or more shots in each of the last 4 games, just 1 so far today, as Wilson on the step through, couldn't finish.
Clark around the ball a lot in the early parts of the second half. I like that.
That's his handoff for Justin Bibbs, who only had a couple of free throws to his name in the points column in the first half. Wagner tried to front. C with a second chance, and it's a 5-point game.
And C now up to 8 points on the game. Came into this one just averaging a little bit over 5. This has been one of his better outputs all season long because of his level of aggressiveness. He came off the block and demanded the basketball there, which is what you want to see out of your big.
Abdur Rahman off the mark. Offensive rebound for Wagner. On C, he didn't score in that game against Nebraska on Sunday. 11 minutes, put up a 0, and a mammoth first 20 minutes plus for him today. Wagner spinning on C for 2. Neatly done.
That is so pretty, so nice. You know, a lot of times bigs, they catch the ball, they want to go right away. Feel where the defense is, be patient, and then show the fancy footwork. That was nice.
Beautifully done by Wagner. There's a bullet pass into the corner, and the 3 buried by Bibbs. His 12th of the year. They switch sides so well offensively sometimes.
Just great awareness and vision, in particular when they're trying to get the ball to that corner 3. I think right now for Virginia Tech, though, better help side awareness. Good communication defensively that time. See if the help side's able to rotate on the drive.
And a foul called against C. That's his first. Last time these teams met, it was the Paradise Jam back in 2002. Well, Michigan was up big early.
Well, Wagner's footwork, though, feeling the defense, and then just Get him to look one way, get the body to lean, and go the opposite way.
Mo Wagner, sophomore out of Germany, with 6 points. Talking about that game last time they played, Michigan was up at the half 41-29 back in the 2003 season at the Paradise Jam, and Virginia Tech came back furiously to win that game, the only win in the series for the Hokies. This is a 7-2 start to the half for Virginia Tech. Where does Michigan go offensively here?
I think you try to get Irvin going again. He's been quiet to start the second half. Try to get him something. Now, if he's comfortable catching from beyond the arc and locking down a three, either that or trying to set an on-ball screen and a drive.
There he is. Irvin over Leday, left it short. Hill on the gas pedal and funneled to the sideline by Walton. This arena has gone quiet compared to the first half, and 2 shots coming for the very energetic transfer, Zach Leday.
Good spin baseline, drawing the foul and manufacturing an opportunity to get into a rhythm at the free throw line. And when he scored, he's 3 of 4 in the first half at the foul line. But this is where Leday can kind of start to assert himself a little bit. And I anticipate a much more aggressive player here in the second half.
Guy who really has come out of his shell here at Virginia Tech. Couple of years at USF, just 4 points a game, 2.5 rebounds a game. But later in his career in Blacksburg has been a mighty fine scorer for Buzz Williams.
You think about this Hokies team last year, 10-8. 10-8 in the ACC and did not make the NCAA tournament. And I promise you this, if Buzz Williams' team gets to 10-8 in the ACC this year, they're a lock in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's a no-doubter. As long as they avoid one of those bad non-conference losses to the 200 or below type team. But you assume they're going to do that. They've done that so far this year. Well, and with the way they compete, I think that's something that can carry you through everywhere. A nice drive and rip through again.
Wagner has 4 in the second half. All the points for the Wolverines have come from the German sophomore. And that'll take us to a timeout. 4-point game, Michigan the lead, Virginia Tech.
Run to create separation between Michigan State and then the game after us tonight, Virginia and Ohio State. Virginia's defense, let's say it is even more stout this year, and that's scary. They're giving up about 41 points per game so far on the season. Best in the country.
To have that get better from previous years is alarming. And by the way, Buzz Williams in shoot-around this morning used the pack line defense as an example for what Michigan might do in this game, as Leday makes it a 2-point game, and he is down after the dunk.
Robinson is down. Leday with the nice move, but it was Robinson as he fell. I believe he fell on a camera, and he's getting up a little gingerly.
So Robinson after the dunk.
And you know what that does? It takes away from the celebration and the energy of the dunk. And I mean, immediately sucks the air right out of it. And when Leday gets in the rim, usually guys are feeding off of it.
Instead, Michigan sets the offense, leading by only 2 now, as Irvin gives it up to Walton.
You got to help here.
Wagner bumping on Bibbs, gave it up. Irvin.
That's good defense. They showed and helped on the post and then closed back out to Irvin.
Boy, that's a clean pass. Bibbs might have a look for 3 and the lead. Instead, Virginia Tech will reset. Ty Outlaw, the redshirt junior, is in. Stripped away. Robinson had it raked free.
Wagner having a very good second half for Michigan. The rest of his team hasn't gotten involved yet, though. And that's been a big reason. The Hokies' energy level is improved. They've picked up. They're closing out better, staying on better balance defensively.
What a rim run there for Wagner. He has 6 in the second half.
He has all 6 of Michigan's points here in the second half.
Averaging 8 points a game. And this is out of bounds to Virginia Tech.
Robinson will go to the bench, but Wagner doing an excellent job moving without the basketball, coming down the lane. You give up the ball, defense gets picked. Poor communication didn't show, and they worked on that all morning long at shoot-around for Virginia Tech. Communicating, pushing through on the screens, and it didn't happen that time, and instead Wagner was able to get an easy 2.
Buzz Williams was pretty confident in a couple of his guys in terms of getting lost on defense, but he knew it was going to be a hefty challenge against this Michigan offense. That bucket does count for Clark, and he'll get one more.
A great drive by Clark, and you have to understand, knowing the scouting report, not a great shooter on the outside. And so often what happens is you hear about Virginia Tech spacing the floor, finding shooters. You had 2 Michigan Wolverines, neither one of them communicating very well, and that's what created the scene.
Second foul on Wagner, 1-point game with the make by Clark.
This is what Virginia Tech does, though. I mean, they just keep coming. They're not going to stop, and you've got to sustain your level of attention and effort. And I think Michigan got off to a great start in this game, knocking down a lot of shots, and in the second half, they're just not finding that same quality look.
Irvin to the rim for 2 more. He has 17 tonight.
Except for every time I say that, they get a layup.
You should,
but you notice it's the same
Oracle business.
Are you noticing, though, that it's the same action? It's coming off of the screen, going straight line to the hoop.
That's an offensive foul called against Hill.
That's the second time that Hill has been victim to the offensive foul call. And what that happens when you get called with 2 offensive fouls, all of a sudden you become a little less aggressive, and I do actually think that was a good call.
Duncan Robinson takes the charge. That's the 3rd foul against Hill, and right now he stays in the game. You like it?
I do. In the second half, you're almost halfway through the second half. You got 3 fouls. Just play through. Now, I'm not surprised, though, if Robinson at the table is coming in for Hill. I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Robinson rings it in.
Gets the charge at one end, the 3 at the other end. Big exchange that time for the Wolverines. Big exchange for Robinson, and Buzz Williams wants a timeout.
One of the best in the Big Ten at 3-point shooting last year. 2nd best in the conference. Buries it.
Yeah, 2nd 3-pointer of the game. Good passing, good ball movement.
Porton has been the guy offensively. He only has 6 tonight. And Zach Irvin has been the guy that John Beilein hoped for with 17.
Well, that loss to South Carolina, large part because of the defense of Frank Martin's group. Their guards are big, they're strong, they're physical. Sindarius Thornwell had a great game. And then, of course, South Carolina proved it wasn't a fluke by then beating Syracuse. Nice week for the Gamecocks and for Frank Martin, who, remember, they were the last unbeaten team in college basketball a season ago.
And they could use those non-conference wins, too, after.
And then failed to make the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Even though there was a fax or a text sent, and then it was the wrong one, and lots of confusion.
The old fax machine getting in the way again. Strong drive for Robinson, left it short. The tip is good. It's a 4-point game. Leday again following the shot.
I'm loving the aggressiveness right now. Virginia Tech, remember when Buzz said this earlier at shoot-around, said, talk more, play more. Right now, there's better communication defensively, and subsequently, they're playing better.
Wagner soaring to the rim, and he will go to the free throw line. How about Mo Wagner here in the second half? Extremely active.
The steal on the defensive end, though, by Virginia Tech. And when you get steals and you get runouts, you don't have to go against the half-court defense. So imperative for a team that lacks a lot of size underneath, and I think that's a big reason why Wagner has had the success that he has had in this game, is because they're lacking their interior presence right now. And Kerry Blackshear was expected to be one of those guys that was going to be a physical presence for them, and he's been out with an injury.
That, Sean, was the first free throw of the night for Michigan, by the way, as Wagner has already done more than he did in the first half. Again, not a math guy, 5 of 6. I think that's pretty efficient. Seems to be. Yeah, that's economical, as they say. Oh. How far did you get in math? Did you get to the first semester of geometry or what?
Actually, I passed out of college math based on my SAT score. How about that?
The test was different in those days.
Sean, what is 2 + 2?
Robinson to the post, Leday. Against the freshman Teskey. Leday had it altered. Second chance, no, and the rebound for Walton.
Now, Virginia Tech's fought its way back, but it has not been able to get over the top of Michigan just yet. And I think that's important because they're taking a lot of energy to whittle away this lead, and the Wolverines are just keeping them at bay right now.
And what do you have? Legs at the 5-minute mark and below late in this half. Teskey tracks it down, and Robinson with 5 to shoot. Didn't realize it. Irvin bowling into the lane and got it.
I love it. He looked up at the clock before the pass was thrown. He knew exactly how much time he had, didn't panic, and instead of settling for a contested NBA 3, he said, no, I don't want that. I don't want any part of it. I'm going to get a piece of the paint. I'm going to try to give myself and my team a better look, and that's exactly what Zach Irvin did on that final possession to extend out the lead to 7 for the Michigan Wolverines. Every time they've needed one, it's been Zach Irvin that's been able to pick it up.
During Jimmy V Week, as you watch our game that we like to bring you.
Look, this is the fun part. I mean, we're sitting here, we're courtside, we're talking basketball. We're watching 2 teams really compete and try to fight for a win. But when you think about the V Foundation, that's a real fight. I mean, that is a real competition, and the results matter. And so when you give money, just know that you're helping doctors that are committed to trying to help people. And it literally could be a family member of yours that's going to benefit.
Well, it's one of those moments, too, where you stop and you say, boy, if everybody watching the game or everybody that's a Michigan fan or a Virginia Tech fan would give a little bit, what we can all do as a society to stop this disease is truly remarkable.
It was one of my favorite weeks of the year, to be honest, to be part of ESPN. Yep. By the way, do you think Michigan fans, although they're going against Virginia Tech tonight, will be Virginia Tech fans coming up this weekend?
Oh, boy, will they ever, against Clemson in the ACC championship in football.
And Colorado fans?
I don't know if it's going to be easy for Michigan fans to be Colorado fans with the history of that series in college football, but they're going to have to do it.
But for one weekend, they can be.
They will forget about it right after they do it, but they will do it. Michigan just outside of that top 4 as Irvin bids for another and spun it out. And strong action on the rebound by Teskey to draw the foul against Virginia Tech. What do you think of the top 6 of the college football playoff just released last night on our airwaves?
I think it was exactly what I anticipated it would be. The margin between Washington and Michigan, very slim. Obviously, Wisconsin playing Penn State. And you think about this, you could, technically speaking, have 2 teams in from the Big Ten and neither one actually playing in the conference championship game. I think that would put to bed the whole talk of having to play in the conference championship game, especially with a conference like the Big 12. I think you just have to perform, and you have to get quality wins during the course of the season.
But that is one criterion for the committee. It's listed in their bylaws. Conference championships do matter, and so does head-to-head. So there are fans of Penn State that aren't terribly pleased with Ohio State #2 and Penn State out of the top 4. But they have their say coming up this week.
Oh, great pass.
Beautiful pitch by Robinson. Second chance there for Hill, wouldn't go.
A little out of control. The pass was beautiful, though, and normally that's a shot that Hill's able to knock down. He stayed with it, got the offensive rebound, but just was way off balance throwing that one up at the backboard.
You think Ahmed Hill's been affected by the foul trouble tonight?
I do, in particular the 2 offensive calls.
No bucket there. Foul first against Bibbs. Thursday night, a very good game to start December. That's tomorrow night, folks. Cincinnati #19, Iowa State. Both teams 5-1 from Hilton Coliseum in Ames, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Streaming live on the ESPN app and to watch ESPN.
Nick Cronin has consistently done such a great job with Cincinnati. Their toughness, in particular at the defensive end of the floor. Iowa State spreading the ball. Monte Morris, one of the best point guards in the country.
one of the best in history. Assist to turnover ratio. He's going to shatter some records before he leaves.
He's lived in the top 3 nationally his entire career.
Irvin got the screen from Donnell and buried the jumper.
Just in rhythm and flow tonight. I mean, you just see it. He's very confident. And you mentioned Walton not having his normal game offensively. Wagner's picked it up, but Zach Irvin's done more than his part.
There's Leday to the rim for 2 more. It's a 5-point game.
I think you just keep using Leday for the Hokies. I mean, just look to try to get him downhill, get him going towards the rim. They'll draw fouls. What a back cut.
Beautifully done by Michigan. Duncan Robinson finishes. Yeah, Leday only 1 shot in the first half. 3 out of 5 overall now as that's tipped out of bounds by Michigan.
Virginia Tech basketball. Checking in for your Wolverines.
The last play, Ahmed Hill, not necessarily J.R. Smith-esque, but clearly was caught flat-footed and was watching the ball, had no awareness of where his man was. He didn't go off to dap anybody on the bench. Did you see that last night with J.R. Smith?
Oh, my goodness.
If I walked off the floor in a game to go give somebody a high five, I don't think my coach would have allowed me to get back on the plane.
Allen for 3, rimmed it out. Why don't you try it right now? Take out the headset.
You'd probably like that.
Well, come on now. The Maze Rage is ready for you. They're excited. The student section across the way.
I'm doing an online poll on Twitter right now.
Yes. Filling the ballot box. You can find him at Sean Farnham. Abdur Rahman sweeping into the lane. 7 to shoot. Wilson in traffic. Abdur Rahman has to hoist and got it. Oh my goodness. Hill the other way, had it blocked. Second chance, no dice, and a tie-up. Michigan basketball with all the momentum.
Shot clock winding down. Michigan seemingly going nowhere. And then you just heave it and you hope. And when it goes in, even as a defensive player, you smile. The offensive player, you shrug your shoulders and say, oh, well, it went in.
That was the Jordan look, the palms up. Sorry about it.
A little different feel than when Jordan did it.
Walton was pushed aside.
Buzz Williams is frustrated, and I don't blame him. I thought there was contact against Hill down there.
To the free throw line in a 10-point game. Under 8 to go.
His first free throw attempts of the day for Walton, and he has really not had a good offensive game.
This is going Virginia Tech's way. Not a lot of free throws at all for Michigan, just 3 in the game.
Walton, though, 2 of 5 shooting from the floor. And now you foul, and it's the last thing you want to do if you're Michigan, because you walk it down to the other end. DJ Wilson's got 4 fouls, but more importantly, you're given an opportunity for free throws to come for Virginia Tech, and they have been to the free throw line, and that has been the equalizer in this game. They're 12 of 14 at the stripe.
Team that's been okay this year, about 69% coming in, but you talk about Walton. He was a volume shooter in that game against SMU. He goes 7 out of 12 from three-point range, and you look at the numbers today, it's not even close in terms of shot attempts.
And then part of that, though, is within the balance of the offense right now. I mean, Irvin obviously has gotten going. He's attempted 15 shots, but the efficiency in Wagner as well. You've got 4 Wolverines overall in double figures. So what Walton has done well is orchestrate the offense, space the floor, 4 assists, only 1 turnover.
Irvin, another drive. He has 2 more and 8 in the second half.
Well, and that's the thing. When you have players that step up and are going for big nights, you don't have to force your game. You can allow it to come to you. He hasn't forced any bad looks either.
Leday, a long step into the lane, and Zach Leday has been the most present Hokie offensively in the second half.
A steady stream of Leday in the final 7 minutes, I think, benefits the Hokies.
Question is, who will step up to pair with him to make that last run that's necessary, down by 8. Irvin turned that into an open look and missed. Clark, quick pass. Robinson got it for 2.
Yeah, good pin and seal by Leday underneath, so then when Robinson ripped through, there was no help side rotation coming. Able to finish.
Nearly thrown out of bounds. Walton the rescue. Abdur-Rahman is fouled. Tonight, after the ACC Big Ten Challenge, Sports Center at night. Lisa and John have it for you. Complete breakdown of all the games and some great games tonight. All the highlights from the NBA, NHL, some NFL news as well. Sports Center at night after North Carolina, Indiana on ESPN. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. Not the time you want to start missing free throws if you're the Wolverines. Third in the nation in free throw percentage, coming in tonight at 82% plus.
You just haven't been there.
1 for 2 with a guard from Allentown. Michigan uses the timeout. John Beilein in his 10th season, nearing 200 wins at Michigan. He's brought 4 different teams to the NCAA tournament in his career, and he has had some players that are very good, but Zach Irvin is definitely on that list.
And Zach Irvin and what he's done tonight has been outstanding. You know, coming into this game, he was shooting 48% inside the arc and only 29% outside of it, and 50% shooting from 3 of 6, and aggressive and attacking. He has been really strong. 3 of 7 now, actually, after that last miss, but he has been really strong and picking the right moments and having awareness. Remember, the shot clock was winding down, didn't settle for the 3, instead created a good look. Little things like that comes with experience, and that's, I think, one of the biggest things he brings for this Wolverine roster this year is his experience in this system, his understanding.
He remind you of anybody?
I just think he plays with great awareness. I think there's a lot of guys that play similar, that can shoot the ball from the outside but are strong enough to attack off the bounce and finish around the basket. I don't think his skill set is so unique that you want to start drawing comparisons. I just think he does it very efficiently and very well. I think a lot of times we reach for comparisons and we want to go, oh, this guy reminds me of him, and usually it's a disservice to both the player, usually in the NBA, that we're comparing him to, and the kid itself. I mean, last year when we talked about Ben Simmons, we were comparing to Magic Johnson and LeBron James. Geez, why don't we pick out a couple other guys?
Extra pass, Robinson missed long. There's a lot of pressure that comes with those comparisons. You remind me of a young Sean Farnham. Hill on the drive, and 2 for Virginia Tech. It's a 5-point game.
My friends will tell you that I'm still young.
It's very nice of them. That's what friends are for.
Yeah, they lie to me.
Moving down to 5 minutes, second half, ACC Big Ten Challenge. 2 5-1 teams and a foul away from the ball against Virginia Tech. Hill with personal foul number 4 away from the action.
And Hill will go to the bench, and Leday's coming back in. I was surprised that Coach Williams took Leday out. He's been their most aggressive and most efficient offensive player, in particular here in the second half. It was a short break, and he's back in.
Double figure second half for Leday, the USF transfer. Abdur-Rahman knocks down the free throw. 8.5 points a game last year. He comes in today right around 9.5. And he sinks both. Five minutes to go. Virginia Tech trying to surge back. Leday wandering through traffic for 2 and a foul.
What a good strong move that was by Leday. And the scouting report isn't hard. It's not overly complicated. This isn't a chemistry class where you got to get in the lab and figure things out. Leday's really good at driving and getting the defensive player to shift his weight. And he reads the defensive player well. So if he gets you leaning one way, he's going to go the other way. And if he gets that step, he can finish over the top.
For a guy who had only one field goal attempt in the first half, he's built to 7 now for the game, 6 in the second half. Type of guy that you want on your team asking for the ball late in the game.
Yep.
Take a seat for the moment with those 4 personal fouls. Zach Leday.
A good substitution by Buzz Williams. On my sheet here, they had him listed as 3 personal fouls, but with 4 fouls, you got to do the defense for offensive substitution when you can.
Irvin with the drive, and he missed it. Clark gives it up. Hill dropped the shoulder. That's an offensive foul, and that's going to be it for Ahmed Hill. That time he did extend the arm.
That is his 3rd offensive foul in the game. He fouls out of the game, and 3 of them have come at the offensive end. I thought the first 2 were questionable. I agree with you on this one. I don't think this one was all that questionable. You could see that forearm become parallel to the ground, initiate the contact out in front. I thought the first 2 were questionable, though, but that one was not.
If the defensive player is out of that personal cylinder and the offensive player then creates the contact, which he did with the extended arm, an affirmative move, Hill gets called for the foul, and rightfully so, and he has fouled out. He gets the farewell tour from the folks in Mays.
Still just a 4-point game, but losing Hill, you lose more than just what is expected to be his offense. Not a great night tonight offensively, obviously, because of those personal fouls, in particular the charges, but I would say more at the defensive end of the floor and his energy. So now someone else is going to have to pick it up. Outlaw is out there, and he's got to play with a good deal of confidence and communication.
Transfer, Ty Outlaw in. Walton missed it short, got his own.
Well, and Robinson forgot about his assignment. He was watching. He closed out, flew by, and then didn't get back to gather the rebound.
What did Buzz Williams tell us today in shoot-around? Sometimes our guards are watching too much as Wagner travels and Virginia Tech catches a break on the second chance. Michigan hasn't scored in more than 3 minutes. Under 4 to go. It's a 4-point game in the ACC.
For them in the early stages of this second half. He's on the bench right now, but his ability to score was the reason why they maintained the lead. I mean, Virginia Tech was coming on strong, and nobody else was really being efficient with the basketball except for him.
Leday on Wilson, who got some help. That fades away, and Wilson holds the line.
And a good job avoiding the foul that time by Leday, because that would have been a poor 5th foul to pick up.
Under 3.5 to go. Michigan looking for win number 6 on the year. The only loss to South Carolina by 15. Zach Irvin has been the big scorer tonight for the Wolverines. He has 23. Walton slicing through, kicks. Abdur-Rahman on the miss. And that foul is going to go against Wilson, and that is number 5 against DJ Wilson.
This game has just kind of been trending in the close finish direction for quite some time.
Well, Michigan in the first half had a lead at 14, 29 to 15, up 23 to 8, up 34 to 21. The Hokies closed the gap by 4 at the tail end of the first half to draw within 9. Then, to start this second half, Virginia Tech had 9 of the first 11. So now with Wilson out, what does Michigan lose?
Well, they lose at the defensive end, that interior presence that Coach Beilein was talking about with us, and why he was getting the start. He said he's never been in crunch time before, and this is part of that. Remember I said November's about exposing some things? This is exposure for DJ. Being in crunch time. How can you play with foul trouble? Are you smart enough to not pick up a foolish foul? And that was a careless foul at that end that now sends Ledet to the free throw line.
70% shooter will get a second one. It's a 3-point game with just over 3 minutes to go.
It was Coach Beeline that said, DJ Wilson kind of fills in the blanks for my team. Well, now somebody else is going to have to do that for the final 3:03.
For a Michigan team that does not foul terribly much under John Beeline, 19 free throw attempts for Virginia Tech. Where do you go offensively here?
I'd go to number 21. He's been the best player on the court all night long. See, now I think that's poor recognition by Zach Irvin. Ledet has 4 fouls. He's standing right in front of him.
Robinson completes the play. It's a 4-point game.
I know you get the 2, but if you draw and you get Ledet out of this game, who else is scoring for Virginia Tech? In the second half, the answer is not anybody else.
He has had a mammoth second half after a quiet first. Seth Allen, 12 to shoot. Dropped it off for Clark. Cross court, one more. Bibbs, 3.
Beautiful ball movement, collapsing the defense as Seth Allen drove baseline and then flaring that defense out like an accordion. They're chasing the ball at that moment, and an easy 3-point shot.
Bibbs is 13 out of 30 this year from 3-point range. Robinson to respond. It faded on him.
A chance for the lead right now for Virginia Tech.
Hokies have never led. Now they do. Allen, his first bucket after halftime. Timeout, John Beeline. What a comeback.
And Buzz Williams' team is excited, to say the least. In fact, it even made Coach Williams smile as the team came over. But ball movement for Virginia Tech, so key. You drive baseline and then quickly get it out. And as you collapse the defense, it was actually Clark that collapsed it, and the good passing around the perimeter. And then Seth Allen attacks in transition. Haven't seen many of these kind of looks for Virginia Tech all night long, but it comes at the right moment, and it gives the Hokies the lead.
Well, Virginia Tech, in terms of its scoring, the balance has built with 18 from Ledet and some chime in from Robinson, Allen, and Hill. And on that 3 that Bibbs just made, it was the first one in nearly 15 minutes for a team that averages over 9 a game from 3-point range, only 5 tonight. That has not been the lay of the land, and they still have the lead late.
Impressive performance by Virginia Tech to stay with it, to believe in the process. That was one of the things that Buzz Williams was talking about. I asked him, I said, 4 games in 1 week. What have you learned about your team? And he said, one of the things we've learned is we're growing and we're making adjustments on the fly, and they're being able to implement those adjustments. And it's shown in this game.
Abdur Rahman, Allen flying at him, stepped through, missed the shot, rebound Ledet, and it bounces to Allen.
Now you got to slow it down because the start of this possession has been pretty sloppy as Allen drops the ball once again. You got to just shore up the rock and evaluate the fact that you're under 1.5 minutes with the lead on the road.
Clark on Walton. Allen, open look. He got it! 5 in a row for Seth Allen.
You need Irvin with the answer.
Here it is. Irvin missed it. Walton the reset. Robinson for 3.
This is fun. This is basketball. This is competitiveness between 2 teams that I really feel are top 25 caliber basketball teams. We know that Michigan's already been in the top 25, but for Virginia Tech, I think this is a team that's trying to build on the momentum that they had a season ago. And Seth Allen built on the momentum of the layup that he had that gave the Hokies the lead and able to step in and knock down the 3-point shot. But offensive rebounds have been a problem for Virginia Tech. They give up 1 after the poor shot by Irvin, and it's Robinson that gets his feet behind the line and able to knock it down. to make it a 1-point contest with the Hokies ball.
So how do you play this if you're Michigan? Play straight defense, 1-point game.
Yeah, you got to stop. You got to stop. I mean, there's a 12-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock. There's no need to, like, okay, we're going to foul immediately here. You don't want to give points to Virginia Tech. What you want to do is you want to defend. You want to play smart. You want to stay attached to your guy. Remember, if you're Virginia Tech, to be patient, and their best action has always come when they're moving the ball quickly.
Tonight, 9:15 Eastern, coming up very soon. Another blockbuster. Number 3, North Carolina. Number 13, Indiana at Assembly Hall. A rematch of the Sweet 16 last year. Game number 15 all time between the two. It's a Sonic blockbuster game, and it's also streaming live on the ESPN app and Watch ESPN. Very shortly from Bloomington, North Carolina and Indiana in a great early season game. As Michigan here trails by 1, playing defense, 42 seconds to go. Justin Robinson, the sophomore, leads them into the offense. Allen has been magnificent, and he's called for the offensive foul. He warded off and gets whistled for it.
You drive the lane, you extend out your arm, and dislodge the defensive player. There's no question. You can't take your hand and push it into the defensive player's chest. You just can't. You have to be smarter. But now it comes down to getting a stop if you're Virginia Tech. If you're Michigan, I'm looking at, obviously you want Zach Irvin to touch the ball in this possession, but if not him, try to get Wagner going to the rim.
Irvin, 23 points tonight, a team high. Irvin on Bibbs. Irvin, step back, short. This goes to Virginia Tech with 4.9 to go.
And they're going to look at it to make sure that the call is right. What this will do is allow both coaches the opportunity to talk to their team. More important for Michigan, given the fact that they don't have any timeouts remaining. So Coach Beeline will be able to talk to his team defensively, offensively, and structure both.
You know, it looks there like it was compelled forward by Michigan.
And it is Virginia Tech ball. Didn't take long to figure that one out.
Yeah, Walton came flying in and batted it out of bounds. You got to foul fast here.
Now you got to foul real quickly, and you've got to have your play already set up. Again, no timeouts for Michigan. That possession, that talk about where the possession was going to go is essentially an extra timeout for Michigan. If you can get the deflection and steal right away, obviously that's more ideal than fouling.
Allen will trigger it. He gets it in, and the foul committed. Bibbs will go to the free throw line. Virginia Tech 17 out of 19 from the line in the game, and 1 second off the clock of the inbound.
His second personal foul. Team's 10th double bonus for the Hokies.
2 shots for Justin Bibbs, the junior out of Dayton, who has not missed from the free throw line this year. He's 8 for 8. First one. Good.
The free throw line has been a huge part of the offense for Virginia Tech, and the equalizer to their turnovers in the first half that allowed so many points off of it for Michigan.
Second for Bibbs is good. 3-point game. Do you foul if you're Virginia Tech here?
I do.
Keep him away from the 3.
I do. But you got to be smart.
Donnell will inbound. That's tipped out of bounds to Michigan. So now with the ball into the front court, it's a cleaner inbound. They lose 0.7 on it.
And Coach Buzz Williams is wanting to know where the ball should be at, and then they're checking for the clock again. In these situations, I have no problem with officials trying to make sure they get it right. A 3-point game with 3.9, and I think the spot of the ball is fine. I think the time that ran off the clock was fine. And I don't think Michigan tapped it after it made contact with Virginia Tech.
Be difficult to overturn that call.
Yeah, there's no way that was tipped by anybody but Virginia Tech, and I think the amount of time that went off the clock were fine.
So the clock right now is at 3.2. Upon the inbound, it was 3.9. So we'll see where it ends up for Michigan. And now into focus even more is the question of, will you foul?
Yes.
Or won't you?
I think you foul. I think but you've got to be careful, because now they're in a position where you could have a play similar to what we saw Missouri foul earlier in Feast Week down in Orlando against, I believe it was Xavier, and they fouled and the catch was going immediately to the rim. The last thing you want to do is foul a 3-point shooter going up and send him to the free throw line for 3 shots.
On that replay, you saw it looked like the clock started late. And so we'll see as the officials time it out. And you certainly hope that the clock machine is okay as well. The ball went flying toward the electronics over there. We're going to see exactly where the clock ends up.
Looks like it could be about 3.5. But then again, it started a little bit late, I thought, so maybe you just keep it at 3.2.
Either way, Michigan's going to have an opportunity here. It's going to be 3.7, we're told. So add 0.5. The loss was only 0.2 on that tip out of bounds, which for Buzz Williams is hard to believe.
Generous. Now, does it make that big of a difference here? Now you got to get a stop. He's had plenty of time to tell his team what he wants him to do, though. Now they just got to go out there and they've got to execute it.
Wagner tips it in. Robinson just missed. Virginia Tech with a furious comeback to win.
Back-to-back wins versus the Big Ten for Virginia Tech, and this one on the road in a true road environment, overcoming turnovers in the first half, overcoming a poor night from Ahmed Hill, but at the end of the day, Zach Leday was huge in the second half. Seth Allen was huge. Their free throw shooting was huge, but great execution on this out-of-bounds play. Wagner read it beautifully, delivered a very good pass. They got the look they wanted for. I don't think Robinson had a double clutch the way that he did on the 3-point shot. I think he should have just gone up for it. But if you're Michigan, you got what you wanted, except for the make. And for Seth Allen and Virginia Tech, they got the win.
Tremendous job by Allen not to foul there as well. 73